So thank you everybody for being here today. You know, we're getting closer to the end, and thank you everybody that has submitted maps for all your work. So let's get started. We'll call this meeting to order at 5:04. And today we have 2 new map submissions. I did receive an email from Dr. Mo saying that we have not received any maps from the public, nor have we received any public comment up until about this afternoon. So she'll probably check again later on this evening. Tomorrow is the deadline for submitting a map. So if you plan to submit a map, or if any members of the public plan to submit a map, tomorrow is that deadline. So let's go ahead and get started with reviewing the new maps. Mr. Bueno submitted a map, but he is unable to attend.
Steve, want to introduce himself?
Sure, go ahead.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. As is obvious, I'm not Dr. Srada nor Dr. Mo. They're traveling, and so they asked me to sit in as the EPCC representative. I am Steve Smith. I serve as the Vice President of Instruction and Workforce Education for the institution. Thanks for letting me sit in.
No, thank you for being here, Dr. Smith. So real quick, I was just going to say that Mr. Bueno submitted a map, but he is not attending today, so we'll let him go over his map and revisions next meeting. That doesn't mean that we can't start cutting maps today, but first we will hear from Mr. Ibarra, who has submitted another map. So Mr. Ibarra, the floor is yours.
Thank you. And as I promised you guys last meeting, the suggestions that you guys gave me about moving some precincts around, that's what I did on this map here. We just moved precinct 109 and 121 into District 5, and then from District 5, I took precinct 120 out and put it into District 6. And it does look a little bit better as far as the picture of it. It is very contiguous, and it did drop down the deviation to 1.76. So we did gain a little bit by those changes. So thank you, committee, for making them. It did improve the map. I am ready to answer any kind of questions if you have any, but otherwise, this map is fairly solid in being contiguous, having a real good deviation, and I don't think that I'm not sure that there's any more improvement to it. So I'll open up for questions.
Does anyone have any questions for Mr. Ibarra?
Just want to make sure there's no split precincts or anything.
There is no split, everything is whole, and no split precinct whatsoever.
Great.
And all incumbents are within their district?
Yes.
All the incumbents are within their districts, and if on District 4, basically I try to keep her below the freeway on south side, and District 3 is above the freeway. So, yes, sir.
What is the difference between this map and the second map that you submitted?
Okay.
I'm trying to locate the second map somewhere in here. but
The
I
answer
can't.
to that, Chente, is basically they're almost identical. The only thing that was done on this map here, if you remember last meeting, some of the members suggested that we move some of the precincts between 5 and 6, and that's all I did, those 3 precincts. It was precinct 109, 121 into 5, and precinct 120 into 6 from the other map that we showed last time.
Mr. Ibarra, do you mind pointing it out on that map, on the big map, so everybody can see, if we can get the precinct numbers?
The black ones that are bold on that map, that's plan 5. The shading is plan 6. This is what changes right in here.
Exactly.
And also we have to use the precinct here.
I used to be on 5. Now I'm in 3.
I have a laser pointer.
Oh,
here, so
cool.
if I want to use it, so.
Thank you. That's helpful. So I don't know if you heard, so the black lines are Mr. Ibarra's last draft, 5, right? And then the shading is the new one, 6, which is, now he's gonna explain those changes, but it's really cool that we can see them overlapped.
Okay. This one was in number 6, and the committee suggested we move that into 5. That one and this one here was moved into 5. Then this one here used to be in 6, it was moved into, used to be in 5, it was moved into 6. Those are the only changes that were made on this map here. Everything else stayed the same from the previous map. And by doing this, like I said, the deviation came out to 1.76. So it improved a little bit. The compactness stayed at 61, so it's a good number there. Okay. So again, 109 used to be in 6, now it is in 5. 121 used to be in 6, now it's in 5. Precinct 120 used to be in 5, now it's in 6. So,
Are there any other questions for Mr. Ibarra?
Mr. Ibarra, I see that you didn't split any precincts, is that correct?
there is no split precincts here at all. All of them are whole precincts the way they are right now.
Remarkable deviation that you have.
1.76 is fantastic.
Yeah.
To the chair, if I may, we don't have an EPCC map comparison. We didn't get that.
The original map?
Yeah, something like what we had last time. We had,
So,
in other words, the current and then what this one would look like.
so that Mr. Ibarra made. And do you want to see them?
Can you put two PM maps side by side? The original and this one?
Yeah, let's
Let's
put
do
the
that.
initial assessment
If
and
you
the
can do
plan
that.
6 side by side.
If you can do that, I think it would be very beneficial.
That is the actual map as it is right now.
And there was a copy of the original map in our initial packet, but I don't think it was, like, you couldn't see the precinct numbers as clearly.
Right.
So, okay, so
Now-
let's,
She's gonna try, I think she's gonna try and do it.
she's gonna pull them up. Thank you.
Okay. This is
Okay.
mine, this is the original one.
Original by what do you
The
mean by?
current one, the current precinct right now, this is a
EPCC's
right
current
now.
map.
Right now.
Right now. And this is what I'm proposing that we change it to.
So 6 would grow, 7 basically stays the same.
And if you
3 shrinks.
remember that precinct, District 7 had to shrink. They were about 20,000 over. And 6 did not have enough, so they had to grow. And so did 5.
Right.
Now, precinct 4 had to lose. They were over, way over.
And we got rid of the island-looking thing.
Thanks to the committee, yes.
Peninsula.
I mean, on the original map.
Yeah, you got rid of the island.
So if you notice, right this, all of this has been taken away and given to 6 right here. And this right here has been given over here to 3 and 4, right in there. Where this one grows this way, right there.
Just a small clarification, it was actually 3 that was heavy, 4 was a little bit light, so that's why you've got the 3 giving up some population there and then 4 taking some off.
Okay.
Are there other questions? I also want to ask the students that are on the committee if you all have any other questions? Any questions at all? No?
No questions. Oh, I really like his map.
So your initial assessment was the one on the right?
No, this is the current one right now, Jim.
The current, okay, that's what I'm trying to,
This is the current one, this is the updated version of number 2 that I submitted.
The one you just showed us.
I have one question, Mr. Ibarra. Why not leave precinct 121 in 6?
The reason for that was it would jack up the deviation.
Over the 10%?
Not over 10%, it was more like maybe 5.5%. Instead of bringing it down into 5 there, it made it down to 1.76.
Because I think that's part of what we had seen last time, right? When we made that change, the deviation had gone up like to 0.5 something, or 5 something.
Yeah, that's what happened. I mean, if I was to include that in there, it would increase it. What does it come out to? You want to see what it is?
Yes,
She can
please.
do that right now.
Thank you, Sherry.
It'll look cleaner, I guess.
527.
What was it, I'm sorry?
527? From 176 to 527?
And the numbers would be, 5 would have, let's see,
6 would have 126,000 now, and 5 would have 120.
it goes up to 126?
Yes, ma'am, 126. Down here, you can see it.
Yeah, I think this is what we had seen last time, because I'm looking at your draft number 5, and 121 was originally in 6, and we had only switched out 109 and 120. But then when you redid 6, you also switched out 121.
Correct.
To make it more even, I think it gives the numbers.
Exactly, that was why.
District.
So we're gonna put, I mean, I wanna keep 121 in District 5 to make the numbers look a lot better.
Could we maybe, could you explain to us a little bit more, Mr. Sequest, about the deviation and like the role that plays?
Sure.
Especially in relation to the other criteria that the committee needs to consider?
So again, the deviation, the standard that the federal courts have said is that it just needs to be under 10% in order to comply with the one person, one vote requirement. Our criteria say as roughly proportionate as we can do, but then there are also the other criteria of compactness, as well as preservation of neighborhoods, and hopefully everyone has a copy of that. That was also in the initial materials that we provided. So it's really a balancing. Once you're under 10%, you can kind of adjust based on the criteria that the committee feels is most important or best serves the map. So there is nothing, there's no extra credit under the law between 1.76 and 5.27. So you all can go with whatever you want, and if you feel like there are other considerations that merit one or the other, that's certainly a reasonable thing to consider.
So maybe one of the things I'm curious about is like, what is that neighborhood, 121, 122, and 120? Like what are we looking at in terms of like communities? And anyone who is from the area and more familiar, please give us your feedback.
Oh, no, let me see what's
Street?
And do you mind reading the streets out to us?
What's part of the east side?
We have a neighborhood layer which may give us some information. The other thing I think we can do, Sherry, can we put the satellite imagery behind it too, so you can actually see?
Well,
I don't have that.
No, you've done really well. Thank you so much, Mr. Ibarra.
There you go.
So
So what
120
is, oh, go ahead. I was gonna ask, what is the street that looks the darkest, that goes like an arch and then goes across, yeah, that street, what is that street?
That is Montwood Drive. And then the cross, or the intersection there is Saul Kleinfeld.
So we essentially have a section south of Montwood Drive that would be in a whole other district. What is the northern border of District 5 right now? Below that, like if you go down to the next precinct, sorry, keep going,
Bob Mitchell.
keep going down. Uh-huh. I'm sorry, let me tell you the precinct number. What is the northern border of precinct 122?
Bob Mitchell Drive.
Bob Mitchell Drive?
Yep.
Thank you.
And then
So-
it runs along Kleinfeld going down there.
Okay, so who on the committee is from the east side? So can you maybe tell us a little bit about that area and like how does having that precinct, you know, that is also south of Mountwood in a different district from the rest of the other neighborhoods and precincts that are south of Mountwood?
121 is where Montwood High School is located.
Okay, so that's also good to know.
That's a big difference. That's where, that's Montwood High School, 121.
That's further east.
So that's in District 5 at this point.
And is the rest, okay, so can we, go ahead.
Yes, sorry, what was the question?
So can you tell us a little bit about that area? And so precinct 121, which is proposed in this version to be in District 5, is where Mountwood High School is located. And then if you look at the rest underneath it, so the yellow is what I'm talking about, and the green underneath it would be in a different district. Does that make sense to y'all that know this side of town as far as neighborhoods and community? Like, is that an appropriate border?
I would say so. Me, I'm familiar with that side of town. So yeah, yes, someone like me. Maybe not someone who's familiar, like, who does not live on that side. Does not know, like, how it works. But yes, for me, since I live there, yes, I would say it works.
Can you speak up, please? I can't hear.
Okay, can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes. There you go, a little louder.
Just barely.
It's pretty loud.
Do you want to tap the mic to see if it mixes up?
What happens if you put 120 up onto the other one? Up into,
So this layer shows you the subdivisions.
Okay?
And so basically, this looks to be an area that's generally Vista Hills. And actually, but Vista Hills, it looks like is both north and south of Montwood, so I don't know that you could have all of it together, but at least some of this is Vista Hills, and there's a split between Vista Hills area.
Go ahead.
Okay, so can you guys hear me now?
Yeah.
Yes? Okay, so someone like myself coming from the east side, I'm obviously familiar with that place. And I would agree with that. For me, I don't know about anyone else, what you guys think about it. Maybe someone who's not familiar, obviously, wouldn't understand like how it works, the process and everything. But as for me, I do agree with this map. Thank you.
Thank you. So you don't agree with the map?
He does agree with the map.
I do agree, yes.
Mr. Lerma, did you want to, are you from the east side too?
No, yeah, that's further east from.
Oh, okay.
I live around
Let's go
east
back to
there.
the satellite.
Oh, okay.
That's
Okay.
a little further down.
Okay, so I mean, we have a really good map. We can keep this one in the running. Are there, go ahead, Mr. Quintanilla.
I still want to know what would happen if you moved 120 into that upper district?
District
Into a 5?
To keep all that, keep that population together.
we can-
Seems like we're going in there into,
It was the numbers, Chente?
the numbers, yeah, that,
So you want to put 120 into 5? That's what you're
into,
suggesting?
District 6,
It is in District 6.
would it make it too much big? Much
So it
bigger?
is in District 6.
We're gonna
Well, yeah, because you're keeping a small finger in there into everybody around that district, 120 is in that of the
So,
northern, you know.
We're gonna try to see what it does, Chente.
Can
So
we,
that's gonna go into District 5.
Okay.
This was the one that was kind of our bigger precinct, 4,800 people.
You can make that a map, I mean, you can make that one of your maps.
So Chente, it jumps up to 6.79 in the deviation. And the population down here, District 6 is down a good 4,000 people.
Wouldn't it be, I mean, isn't it terrible that I live in that area and I'm going to another district, just that one finger in there? I mean, the neighbors to the left and neighbors to the right are both in another district. I mean, seems like,
Well, the thing
I
is,
mean, it's gonna happen, I guess, across it.
the thing is that you're gonna start saying, well, what about 122 and 124? I mean, they're all part of the same area. But at some point, you gotta say, well, wait a minute, now you've got too much population in that district.
Well, but the deviation, that area is not gonna grow anymore. You know, it's not gonna grow anymore. It's full. That area is not gonna grow anymore. I mean, the only part that's gonna grow is, well,
well, I think that
because the Montana area, north of Montana, see,
Well-
there's nothing, no growth up there. It's, all, public land or belongs to the federal government, north of Montana, so,
Right, right.
yeah.
So, does anyone else want to see this map any other way? Do you want to see any other areas of this map?
I'm just, you know, it's not my area, so it doesn't make a difference. I mean,
Well, no, it does. I mean, I think you're bringing up really good questions.
you know, you're keeping a group right there that's local to the other, on both sides. But I guess it's going.
So can we do this? So this is one option, right? With a deviation of 6.79. And then we have the other option of moving precincts 120 and 121 into District 5?
They're already on 5 right now. On this map.
No,
here,
they're in 6. In this map, they're on 6, right?
5.
They're in 5. Okay, so moving those two back into 6, 120 and 121.
And like I tell you, it's not gonna grow anymore.
So let's look at that real quick. And that brings it to
5.27.
5.27. So we had seen that one already. And then Georgia, Mr. Ibarra's original one with taking out precinct 121 was at a deviation of 1.76. So all three of these are within the legal limit. I want to suggest that we can keep these three in mind and maybe move on to looking at other maps that we already know we don't want to use, and maybe eliminating those, and keep these three versions kind of in mind for next week, unless anyone has any other questions or changes to this map. So I'm going to recognize people. We're going to go Mr. Lawrence, Mr. Lerma, Ms. Acosta. Go ahead.
How many people are in precinct 130?
How many people are in precinct 130, please?
Oh, sorry,
It's okay.
130. How many people?
My guess about 7,000.
That's what I'm thinking too. It looks pretty big.
Looks like 7,151.
It's good.
Big one,
They have some big precincts.
A lot of
the big district, yeah.
Huge.
wow.
It's highly dense, a lot of density in that area.
Do you have any other questions? No?
My only thing would have maybe it'd be put 130 in District 5, but that would just jack up the numbers
Yeah.
too much.
Okay, Mr. Lerma?
I may be too early, but I'd like to make a motion that
Okay, can we hold on that and listen to Ms. Acosta first? What were your comments?
No, what I was gonna say was for next week, when we meet, if we can have those 3 maps, the same way that we have these today, so we can see them along with precincts, and then the before and the after. Sure. That's what I would like.
So we will call that, we'll have, so this is number 6 right now. And so we'll have 6 as Mr. Ibarra has presented it, and then we'll have 6A and 6B showing each of those precinct moves.
Perfect.
And we'll have those maps with the precincts and the table, so you can see the population as well.
And you
That's
have the before-
perfect.
The current map, and then
Yes, I will re-include the current benchmark districts, and we'll do that with precincts, so you can see where those are currently as well.
Thank you, that would be perfect.
that would be, thank you.
Awesome. Okay, so then we're gonna, if there are no more questions for Mr. Ibarra on this map, we're gonna go ahead and move on to the next item. We still, keep in mind, we still have to hear from and review Mr. Bueno's map next week as well. Are there, so now let's look at the item that says narrowing down maps for consideration. Do we have anyone, because I want to ask those of you that put in the time to make maps, does anyone who's submitted a map wanting to withdraw any of their drafts? Mr. Lawrence?
Can I remove option C, my first map?
Okay. What was it labeled?
On the website, it's option C, but let me find it.
So we're going to remove options. So,
Is that the one that we corrected?
Yeah, with the district number on. Yeah.
so it's the very first one, it's option C. Okay. Do we want to, so we're gonna remove so do we have, he'd like to remove it. Is anybody against that? No? Okay. And then you have another version? Another map that you've submitted?
Yeah,
Or- There were 2, right? So there's still one of Mr. Lawrence in the rent mean. And then Mr. Ibarra, I know you'd submitted some previous maps. Do you want us to reconsider those now?
The map, the first one I submitted before I started getting some feedback from the committee, I think I can drop that one, simply because we did incorporate the comments made by the committee members, and they made it a little bit stronger, so,
So that was
map number 1.
map number 1.
You want to withdraw that one?
Yeah. Unless somebody has somebody likes that one.
That was where we had 2 incumbents in the same
Yes.
district.
Yes, exactly.
No, we don't want to do that.
Well, I mean, because of the comments we received in our meeting about moving some of those people, I said, okay, let's change it.
So please correct me if I'm wrong. We had 7 maps before today's 2 maps, so we've now eliminated 2. Do we want to review the other 5 maps and look at them and decide if we want to remove any of those? With the exception of Mr. Buenos?
Are you saying that we have 2 maps right now?
No, I'm saying we've eliminated 2 maps
We've eliminated 2 maps, so.
of the submissions.
Which are?
Yes, ma'am. I believe so. Do you mind if you pull them up? We'll be able to tell. Yeah, I think so.
Lawrence, did you eliminate your map?
My first one.
Which was originally map 2 in our packet, right?
I
I think so. We'll take a look.
Map number 2?
So, Ms. Sherry's gonna pull them up so that we can make sure we're eliminating the correct maps. Switched?
Yes. And so I think Mr. Lawrence can correct me if I'm wrong, but his map number, or his second map, which will be, I think, 3 on this, is a correction of this map. It's the same map, it just has the numbers corrected. So we're taking this map out because the numbers are incorrect.
Okay, so we're taking away Lawrence 2.
Lawrence 2 is gone.
1 and 2.
Yep, here.
Can we look at Ibarra 1, please? Okay, so this is Ibarra 1. This is the first map that Mr. Ibarra submitted. This is the other one we want to remove unless someone loves it.
Right, that's the one that has District 3 and District 5 incumbents in the same
Incumbents.
district.
Okay. Is the committee okay removing this one from consideration? Yes, yes. Okay, so we're going to remove Ibarra 1. Sherry, do you mind bringing up the other maps so that we can consider them, please? And I also,
Wesley, that's your.
so this is Wesley's corrected version, right?
Is that the good one?
That one is good.
Okay, so I did want to make a quick comment. When we go to the roadshow, I do think it would be important to present some different versions, like for people to consider, because if we present one map with just like one precinct that's different or two precincts that's different, I don't think that helps the public understand kind of what we're trying to do. So that's just a suggestion to keep in mind as we go through this process. So this is Wesley's number 3. Do we want to keep, and we're going to do this again next week, right? Do we want to keep this one for now, or do we want to remove it from consideration?
Wesley, is this the one that has a lot of split
Yes.
precincts?
That
It has a lot of split precincts. Go ahead, Mr. Lerma.
Would you like to remove that one?
You know, I'm for keeping it only so something does look different. And I think the deviation is nice as well, and the population as well. So I'm down for keeping that and getting public comment from that, see how they feel about it. But that's just me personally.
Okay. Does anybody else want to remove it due to the split precincts? To keep it? So we'll keep this one for now, okay?
I'm also fine with removing my draft plan too, because that's the one that has the 2 incumbents together.
You had 2 maps or 3 maps? 3? Okay, let's go through them. Yes, sir.
On the roadshow, will it be like the map, I mean, with precincts as well, at least together? Or so people will see where the precincts are?
Yeah, so, those are, like, we can ask, Dr. Mo next one, and I can send her an email so that she can explain to us the format of the roadshow, unless you know, Mr. Sequest?
What was the question specifically? I'm sorry.
That when they show the maps for the public to view, will there be a map where the precincts also show?
Yes, and actually what we will do for that purpose is we will print large paper
Okay.
maps so that before kind of the discussion piece, folks will have an opportunity to go through and view all the maps and get up close and pick out their precincts so that they can see in each one where that is. So they'll be able to do that easier, I think, on the paper than trying to follow it on the screen. We'll still have a screen presentation, but that way they can look at the paper first.
Oh, nice. Thank you.
Okay, so, this is Mr. Bueno's first initial map, right? Before?
Number 4, yeah.
Do we want, and I know that he has another map that he'll be presenting next time. Do we want to keep this one or remove it from consideration? Go ahead, Mr. Lopez.
I would say that let's leave it alone at this
Okay.
point until he's here. and-
Okay.
So that he can voice his opinions.
Okay.
Because he may want to lead it himself.
Okay, that sounds good. We'll keep this one for,
My understanding from him was that his new plan is a replacement for this one, but we'll
I
let
thought so
him
too.
confirm that.
Yeah, that's fine. That was my understanding. Five. Okay, Mr. Ibarra, this is map 5.
And that was the very first one where we had the, so the one we did today, is that a new number, or is it 5A or?
It's 6.
Okay, so that one there had the little other precinct, that's where the committee was asking me to remove it, so since the committee wanted to remove, I can delete this one.
Okay, so we will delete this one.
So we're keeping 6 and deleting 1 and 5.
Okay, so is that all our maps? Did we miss one of yours, Mr. Lawrence?
It was draft number 2.
So So I think we removed, that one.
So draft 1 got removed and then draft 2 as well.
So the one that is labeled map 2
Which
is the one that we removed.
The one that is labeled map 2 is actually the correction. And so, but that is the one that also has the incumbents 3 and 5 paired. And so I think what we're saying is, Mr. Lawrence is willing to remove that one, so the only one that he'll have remaining is his map 3.
Map 3, yeah, okay, yeah. So yeah, we're on the same page. So then, just to recap, we are removing the map that is labeled Lawrence 2, Ibarra 1, and Ibarra 5.
Removing.
We're removing from consideration.
Five
So,
is-
so that means we still have 2 maps left from Mr. Bueno, 1 map from Mr. Lawrence, and the newest map from Mr. Ibarra with versions B and C, right? Or A and B, A and B. Okay, so we have more narrowing to do next week. Yes, Mr. Quintanilla?
No, I was, 3 and 6 of Mr. Ibarra staying in.
So Mr. Ibarra, 6 is staying in.
Okay, would you go over them again, tell me?
Yes, so we are removing Lawrence number 2, Ibarra 1, and Ibarra 5. We are still considering both of Mr. Bueno's maps. Lawrence 3 for Mr. Lawrence, Mr. Ibarra 6, along with the changes we discussed today, which will be labeled 6A and B. So we're still in the
We keep
still
it.
have six
yeah, we still have 6 maps, but I think this was good.
One of the other things we can do is when the committee narrows down to what you want on the roadshow, we can relabel those in a more straightforward way so that it'll be easier to discuss it for people to understand, so that there's not missing numbers when people are looking at it.
And maybe we can go over those labels next week once we have the ones that we're going to present. That way, the narrowing process isn't confusing to us if we relabel them before. Okay. Our next meeting is November 2nd, next Wednesday, and it'll be here at 5 p.m. And then the meeting after the roadshow will be November 9th. I'm sorry, I skipped over an item. Is there anything else, other business that anyone would like to bring up? Anything from staff or consultants? Yes, sir.
Earlier you said there was public feedback you received.
There was not.
There was not.
There was not. So there hasn't been, real quick again, Dr. Mo sent an email, and as of like early this afternoon, she had not received any maps drawn by the public, and she had not received any public feedback via the districting website. That doesn't mean we won't receive some later today and hear about it next week. The only other thing is also if you're planning to submit a map for us to consider next week, the deadline is tomorrow. And is that tomorrow like at 5? I think is what we said. Other questions from the committee?
Not from the committee. Dr. Mo had sent me a text. She wanted to make sure that all the members had been able to access the redistricting site. I guess there was a question from one of the members that they were having trouble accessing the site.
Not from the members, but Mr. Lawrence had brought up that students, if they are logged into the EPCC portal and they try to go to that page, they can't. So I don't know how many students were trying to do that.
Okay, got it.
Yeah, so I don't know how many students maybe need to be redirected, like log out.
Very good. I'll work with Dr. Mo to clarify that.
Okay. Other questions? Thank you for that, Mr. Yes, sir.
And this is more for the roadshow. I like the idea that we're gonna have a big map that people can see. The only, I don't know whether it'll be possible or not, but if we have those districts there and then the list that you gave us of the precincts with their population, if that could be included, so that, like an example, you say District 1 and these are the precincts and this is the population in that, just those 3 things, the population and the precinct number and the district number.
We can certainly provide that information. Let me get with Dr. Mo as to whether she wants to do a big blow up of that or just have a handout
Exactly.
like that.
Yeah.
But, so that way, if someone looks at the proposal and says, okay, what about, like, Mr. Lawrence said, moving 130, and you look and you say, oh, wow, that's 7,000 people, that's too much.
Yes, ma'am, Mr. Chair.
If we're gonna lay the precincts on the big map, and we're
tortilla for you.
Other business? Okay, and so then we went over the future working sessions. You also have in the agenda the dates for the roadshow. So if there aren't any other questions, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
Just want to remind the committee that early voting is going on right now. And next week is when I will be busy with the mail ballots. So we'll probably be working till 4, maybe 5 o'clock. So I will make it, but I'll be late.
Is there any way to start maybe at 5:30 next week? Does that complicate things for staff? For the use of this room? Yeah? So next Wednesday, November 2nd, 5:30 instead of 5?
Here.
Here.
November 2nd?
Yes, sir.
You send us an email?
I hope that helps a little bit. Yes.
Steve, the flexitorium, are those new classrooms?
So some of our new facilities had these very large classrooms, and so they can accommodate several hundred people if we need to, yeah.
Okay. And then I wonder if we can ask for next week, maybe we could do just like a quick review of where these campuses are. But I think that Dr. Mo said that if you click on it, like on the location that is on the website, it'll show you where the building is on the campus, on the Redistricting website, which is kind of cool.
We can get you specific directions if you need to. The maps on the website are very explainable.
Okay, yes,
Are
sir.
we gonna need any kind of parking permit or anything like that for the campuses?
Highly unlikely, but I'll talk with Dr. Mullen, make sure that what the police will do is block off parking for y'all.
Okay, fantastic, good.
Good questions. Anything else? Yes? Okay. Motions to adjourn?
Wait,
Oh.
before you go. The community college will be doing some outreach in the public to the community.
Yes, Dr. Mo sent an email about that. So she said they are they have the following promotions: digital advertising, digital display, and paid social media on Facebook and Instagram. They have print advertisements in the El Paso Times, one coming out on Sunday. The El Paso Inc., also coming out on Sunday. El Diario in Spanish, also coming out on Sunday. The West Texas County Courier. Spotlight El Paso. And they have announced to the media, they've sent out media alerts to the community calendar, stations, some radio announcements and publications, the EPCC channels, the college's redistricting website, the news webpage, and community announcements, my announcements on EPCC, and the college's social media. So they did really robust advertising.
I've already seen it on Facebook.
Awesome. So, I mean, committee members, if you're on Facebook, go to the college's page, share them on your social media, invite your friends, your family, your neighbors. Other questions? Are you sure? No? Okay. Motion to adjourn? All right. We'll see you next week at 5:30.
Thanks, everyone. Thank you, sir. Brandon, do you have any